Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to fit the Redarc Manager 30 and the Red Vision screen. A lot easier than you think. Alright, let's get to it. Before we begin, I just want to be 100% honest, as I always am in all my videos. This Manager 30 and the Red Vision screen were provided to me by Redarc for this installation video. Now, I've done installation videos for them in the past and they've been really happy. People have really responded. I'll make them as easy as possible to understand. So we'll do another one now. Sorry guys, while I was editing the video then, I just realised I must have had shunt on my brain. Nearly every single time when I was mentioning the bus bar, I was saying shunt. There's a big difference between a bus bar and a shunt. A bus bar is a central location where all your terminals will come in one neat place. It needs up your wiring a lot. It doesn't measure any current. That's just where all your negatives run to. The shunt is what actually measures the current running through the shunt itself. This is my new 12-volt system that I'm putting in the Hilux. Now, it may look like an absolute mess, but I'll run you through quickly what I've done. Basically, you've got power coming directly from the battery here, positive, runs through an isolator switch into this fuse box. I've got power running out another fuse box, which powers all my USB ports, and the earths all run down to this negative shunt here. I've got another fuse box here, which is my aux beam switch panel. So all my lights and everything will switch through that switch panel. This is my new shunt for the Manager 30. That reads all the current running through the batteries. First thing I'll run through is the biggest issue that most people have when setting up a shunt. They don't get all the devices measured through the shunt, so it doesn't give an accurate reading. Now what you got to do, there's two ends to the shunt. Now this one here is your ground. So this one leads to my shunt here, and every earth that I run runs through the shunt. There's nothing that earths directly to the body. And then on the other side here is your battery negative. This is the only lead that will go to the negative on the battery. Nothing else will touch that negative. You'll notice there's two other little wires on the top of the shunt here. The first one here goes directly to your positive on your battery, and it has a built-in temperature sensor as well. That powers the shunt. And the other one leads straight, it's a CAN cable, leads straight to the Manager 30, plugs straight in. You can see at either end here, there's a CAN cable on both sides. Now that's basically like an Ethernet cable. This one here goes to the Red Vision screen. This one here goes to the shunt and measures the current going through it. They've made the wiring really easy. First of all, you see that positive. That's your positive from your second battery. We'll run through that in a minute. Your load, you can have a load disconnect. Now we won't run through that today. That's not something we need for this installation. Your earth, that'll run to the battery shunt. Ignition, if you've got a newer car, you'll most likely need an ignition trigger to start up the charger. I've got an older car, I won't need that. Next you have your solar input, that's your positive from your solar. Your negative will run to your battery shunt as well. And then a picture of a car, that's your starter battery. When it comes to mounting the Manager 30 and the Red Vision screen, you want to mount it inside your car or in your canopy. You don't want it under the bonnet or anywhere in the weather. You want it well protected. Now it does come with very detailed instructions, but if you do have any further questions on how to do any of it, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'm happy to answer, but if it's something I can't even answer, Redarc have a team ready to answer the phone anytime. They'll answer any of your technical questions. Now when it comes to wiring, you want to make sure you're running a minimum of 8 BNS if it's under 3 meters between the batteries, and anything greater than 3 meters, you want to run 6 BNS cabling. After working on this all day yesterday and this morning, it's finally ready to throw in the car now and get it all wired up. Actually, quickly before I throw it in the car, you'll notice I've got these two little shunts here that aren't doing anything at the moment. I've reserved these just for the solar inputs. So I've got 3 solar panels on my car, 2 on each of the canopy doors and 1 on the roof of the rooftop tent. So all the positives will run into one of these posts here and all the negatives run into one of these. And then off of that, the positive will go into the Manager 30 and the other negative will go across into that shunt. So all the negatives are right here. I'll quickly pre-wire the positive and the negative before I throw it in the car. So I've just fed the 8 BNS through here. Now they give you this green connector here. It'll fit up to 6 BNS cable inside it. So you just plug it in, find out which one corresponds with it, stick it in the hole, and then it's got little screws up the top. Just drop a screw and we can plug it in. Just make sure you don't connect any fuses to the batteries until it's all fully wired up. Now the positive and the negative are both pre-wired. You also notice I've got a white cable running through here. That's the other CAN cable running from the Manager 30 along here to the Red Vision screen. Now it was a black cable that arrived with it, this one here, but it was far too long, so I just bought myself a cheap 1 meter one from Bunnings and just running that rather than bundling up that whole cable. Now that it's all mounted in here, we can finally connect all these cables. It may look like a spaghetti, but it's not actually that too bad. There's only 3 thick cables. Now these are 2 BNS, that way it can handle a lot more load. Because I've got all the negatives going to one shunt, I need a thick cable here to be able to handle that many amps. So we've got the battery earth here. This is the only cable that will touch the battery earth. Now I've got 2 100 ampere lithium slim lines underneath the seats here. So I will have one cable joining the positive and the negative on both of them. That'll link the 2 batteries together, and then that'll go on the earth. This one here, the positive, that'll go straight to the positive of the second battery with a 40 amp fuse. This one here is the earth. This will go to the body earth and earth that entire shunt. If you want to learn how to combine 2 batteries into one big battery, I have done a second video up there. I'll show you how to do it. I ran out of daylight last weekend, so I pretty much had to come to a stop until this weekend. That's why you can see this is pretty much finished now. What I've done, I've connected the positive from the second batteries to a 40 amp fuse as close to the terminals as possible. That runs up into the positive for the second batteries here, and that was the 8 BNS, and then I've run a 6 BNS cable from here outside the car. Make sure you convoluted tubing. Anything outside of the car has to be convoluted tubing, and cable tie every 30 centimeters along the chassis line or any existing wiring looms you can find. Run all the way to the engine bay and fuse that as close to that battery as you can with the 50 amp fuse. During the week, these little terminal covers arrived in the mail as well. They're a great idea. It covers up any loose terminals, protecting them. Before you connect both fuses, make sure you've also connected the earth to the bus bar or to the chassis, wherever you're earthing it to, and also your ignition trigger. Make sure all the wires are done first, and then you can get those 2 fuses. When you first power up the device, you won't see any of this battery information here. These will just be blank until it detects that it's fully charged, and then it will come up with 100% battery charge there. It tells you all different charge rates here. So from the alternator, the solar, and 240 volts. It tells you current wattage of solar and total for the day. You have your amps coming out of the battery and your amps going towards accessories. And this is charge going from the Manager 30 to the battery or to accessories. And that's just how easy it is. It's really not that much different to a normal battery charger, except this one has 240 volt charging. Now, if you've got any more questions, like I said, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'm always happy to answer. Otherwise, contact Redarc direct. They've got plenty of people by the phone, always ready to help you out. Now, if you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful, leave a like. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. But thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers!